Namaste, everybody, and welcome to Hindu Lounge Conversations Over Coffee. And this Sunday, we have somebody really, really special. Uh, we have Advocate Vishnu Shankar Jain, Supreme Court lawyer, and one of the appellants in the Gyanvapi Temple Case, and a spokesperson for the Hindu Front for Justice. Advocate Vishnu Shankar Jain started his practice with the Sri Ram Janmabhoomi case in Ayodhya. As you all know, we know now what the outcome of that case is. He challenged the 2010 verdict of the Allahabad High Court in 2011. He assisted his father Hari Shankar Jain in this case. In 2016, he passed the exam of the advocate on record of Supreme Court and registered his first appearance in the Supreme Court in the Sri Ram Janmabhoomi case in Ayodhya in 2016 itself. Vishnu Shankar Ji now is probably one of the most sought after person for TV appearances at this time. He just shared with us that he barely gets 2 to 3 hours of sleep. His time is very valuable. So without much ado, I will jump right into our discussion. And Vishnu Shankar Ji, if there is any question or point that I bring up that you feel is inappropriate to respond to, or may affect any legal matter, sub judice or otherwise, then please feel free to not answer. So here we go. The first question. What did you see growing up, Vishnu Shankar Ji, in a family that was at the forefront of India's civilizational reawakening? What were your struggles and what were your inspirations?
See, first of all, a very uh, good morning because it's morning here, and namaskar to all of you, and good evening to all of you. And my regards and my pleasure and honor that you have invited me on such a important, valuable, and honorable platform. I'm so honored to be here. And coming to the point and answering your question, see, I just believe that I feel that God has chosen me and my father to do service to the Sanatan civilization for restoration of the Sanatan civilization. And probably when I was born in this family of Mr. Harishankar Jain, it is the environment in my family from the childhood times that it took me no time because I was born in 1986 and I remember very nicely in 1992 when I was 6 years old. The Ram Janmabhoomi Andolan was at its peak, and I was chanting these slogans that "Bachcha Bachcha Ram ka Janmabhoomi ke Kaam ka, Saugandh Ram ki khate hain, Mandir wahi banayenge." So these were the slogans with which I was born, and I was involved in this. So actually, all these things have started, and all these things have begun by seeing my father. He has been my role model. He has been my hero. He has been my source of inspiration, and it so happened that my father had started his legal practice in 1976 from a very small court of UP. It's called Lakhimpur. Very in a very quick span of time, in 3 years, he became the biggest criminal lawyer of that area, and then slowly he migrated his practice to Lucknow. We are actually from Allahabad. We have a very ancient Jain temple in Allahabad of 200 years old, a very historical Jain temple of Allahabad at Zero Road. But since my grandfather was not comfortable in staying in Allahabad, since he was a judicial officer, he was in service. So a common place was decided to that between my father and my grandfather that he'll start practicing from Lucknow. So the moment he shifted to Lucknow, he did his commercial practice because, as you all know, that for lawyers the first aim is to have good commercial practice and have good money and income and savings and everything, and so on and so forth. But suddenly it so happened that in 1986 and somewhere around 1989, when Ram Mandir Andolan was at its peak, he felt that he should contribute in the matter. My grandfather was having a secular ideology. He was not having any ideology or any kind of intention to be. He did not want my father to be involved in the Ram Mandir issue or the Ram Mandir case. And at that point of time, the press media was not that prominent in like in comparison to today's era. So my grandmother was a pure Hinduvadi, a nationalist, and she was my father's inspiration to, and she inspired my father that because at that point of time there was a very crucial decision which he had to make. It is not like an atmosphere which is of today. In 1989, if he chooses, if my father chooses this path, then there is no looking back. Only you will have a lot of sufferings and hardships. Was the concept for road ahead, because once you start doing these matters, your commercial practice goes down. People tag you as an activist. Then people say that okay, he is involved only in that case. Then you suffer monetarily, you suffer socially. You have to fight against a notion, you have to fight against a perception, and these are the things, and many struggles are there like this. But anyways, in 1989, he asked the file of Ram Janmabhoomi case from some of the fellow Muslim lawyers and said that please give me the case because I want to study and go through it. I don't know what happened. The Muslim lawyers, Mr. Jilani and everyone, thought that he's a fabulous lawyer of Allahabad High Court and Lucknow bench, so he can come to our side. That's why he's interested and he's asking for the file. But after going through the file, when this offer came that you start appearing for us and be our lawyer for the rest of your life, he rejected that offer. And he filed his first written statement in Ram Janmabhoomi case in 1989. That was the first written statement by the Hindus in the case. Till 1989, Gopal Singh Visharad filed the case in 1950. The Hindu Mahasabha was defendant number 13 in the case. Until 1989, there was no written statement by any Hindu side in the matter. So in 1989, the matter traveled to the High Court because seeing the importance of the matter, the Honorable High Court took the matter to itself, said that we will try this matter. Otherwise, it was pending in the lowest court of the country, Civil Just Senior Division, and of Faizabad, and from Faizabad it was transferred to Lucknow. So it was at that point of time he filed his WS, and the WS was beautiful, which was read till the Supreme Court. And it was a very clear WS with a very clear thinking that this entire area belongs to the deity, that this entire area belongs to Lord Ram, that this property was demolished and trampled upon by uh, Babar, and so on and so forth. So the point is that what I'm trying to tell you is that in 1989 he took a conscious decision of conscious decision of leaving all his ambitions of becoming something in life, leaving all his ambitions of the worldly pleasures of life, leaving all his ambitions of a lawyer which everyone thinks is the biggest lawyer of the country, which everyone has a concept that all right, he'll have a big car, he'll have a big house, he'll have a lot of money, and he'll be very, all those perceptions he left behind, and he chose that he has to serve Lord Ram, and he had this inner conscious that he should be in the matter, he should appear in the matter, he should work for the cause. Then it so happened that we had a very tough time till 2018, till 2018 to establish ourselves, to settle ourselves, to make our both ends meet, to fight for the cause because my father never compromised with his virtues, and so did we never compromised with our virtues. We are not from a very affluent family, but we are not from a very lower middle class family also. We are just a normal, simple, common middle class family of this country. And whatever he used to earn, somehow we used to manage ourselves. So this was a very big struggle phase, and that struggle I had to face in 2010 and in 2005 when I joined law, and in various spheres of life. So I think, yeah. Then in 1992, when Babri Masjid was demolished on 6th December 1992, on the same day my grandmother expired. And after 13 days, my father filed a petition saying that this everyone has a fundamental right to worship Lord Ram, and the worship cannot be stopped because we were continuously worshipping in the premises in question. And after demolition, our right was extinguished and the worship stopped. He filed a petition in the Allahabad High Court. For 10 days, he argued all alone himself with the and then ultimately on 1st January 1993 he won the case, and the order came of Honorable Mr. Justice Tilhari Harinath Tilhari, who said that yes, Lord Ram is a constitutional deity, constitutional entity, and to worship him is a fundamental right, and the darshan started. It is a very crucial juncture in the history of Ram Mandir case, because if we were not in possession from that point of time, the judgment which you are seeing today, because of many practical and other reasons, wouldn't have happened. It was our right which was continuing at that property in question, which had a break of some 10 to 15 days, was taken out. And after that, the Act of Parliament came of Mr. VP Singh, and so on and so forth, and the status quo of Hindus worshipping in the property in question continued. So, yes, definitely, my father was my role model from my childhood. I kept seeing him, I kept seeing his commitment, I kept seeing his teachings, which he used to tell me that Vishnu, money is not important, Vishnu, nothing else is important. We have to fight. And honestly, I'm telling you, and he told me with lot of conviction that. He told me that you should learn from Muslims. He told me that see how Babur fought for his cause, see how Aurangzeb fought for his cause, see how these Mughals fought for their cause. He taught me the entire Mughal history. He taught me the entire history pre-Mughal era. We had he's my guru. He's my guru-in-law. He's my guru in history. He's my guru in entire life. And he taught me all these things, and ultimately gave me a path that this is your path. Your path is that you have to get our Hindu culture restored. You have to get our Sanatan Dharma restored, and whatever is the hardship which the society faces, we will stand for that. So, with that perception, with that conviction, I kept seeing him from a very early age of my life. And when finally I decided that yes, I'll do law, I had no confusion in my mind. And then I passed out my law, and my first case in my life was Ram Mandir case in 2010. And when I became the advocate on record of the Supreme Court, I became the advocate on record of the Supreme Court case. And I came to Supreme Court also because of him. Because in 2002 he tried to come to the Supreme Court, but because of lot of financial issues, he couldn't sustain here for more than 1 year, and he had to go back. And then I decided that this is a thing which my father couldn't do. So I thought that when I pass law, so I will practice in the Supreme Court. I'll become the advocate on record of the Supreme Court. I'll bring him here from Lucknow. I'll migrate him here, and I'll settle him with myself, and I'll see to it that he gets what he couldn't do at some point of time in his life. So yeah, this is the thing.
That's so inspiring. That's so inspiring, Vishnuji. But speaking of history and Aurangzeb, in 1669, Aurangzeb orders the destruction of what we are discussing today, which is the Gyanvapi Temple complex. And he ordered a mosque to be built in that place. Now, this is very, very well recorded. There is a document called Mathir-e Alamgiri, which was written during Aurangzeb's time. It's a chronicle of his times, and it clearly records why he did it, where it mentions irreligious and disbelievers as the two watchwords to describe the people whom he is destroying and targeting. Why is it that despite having all this evidence, despite Aurangzeb's own chroniclers writing what is written there, why is there so much confusion, so much lack of knowledge? There is, why do you have to make so much effort to get even a survey done? Tell us more about it.
See, there is a very, if you would have analyzed the Kargil war, at the time of Kargil war, when the enemy was in illegal possession of our motherland, the damage was 10 is to 1, because our Jawans were coming from beneath, and 10 of our Jawan will die, and the ratio was that we will damage only one Jawan of the Pakistani army or the jihadis. So something like that has only happened here. We were in possession of that property after Aurangzeb demolishing our temple, and he did not just demolish our temple. We have to understand this. It's not just a fight for restoration of an idol. It is not just a fight for restoration of some temple. It is not just a fight for our pride or our prestige. No, it's a fight for restoration of our belief. It's a fight for restoration of our belief, because if someone will see the history of Kashi, how much important Kashi is to the Hindus, it is like unimaginable. And I just wanted to quote something and then tell you on the point that why it is so difficult. And see, the all the historians have written what our Shastras say. Iskan Puran, chapter number 6, page number 58, verse number 71. Iskan Puran, chapter number 7, page number 250, verse number 131. What does it say? I'll just read this, I'll translate it in English. The Avimukt area is in circle of 5 course. At this place there is Visheshwar, Shivling, which is Jyotirling. At this place there is Visheshwar Shivling, which is Jyotirling. Then the first I told you, Skand Puran, chapter number 6, page number 58, verse number 71. All other forsaken places are procured through Kashi. Nirvana, which means to get rid from the cycle of death and birth, is achieved only after getting Kashi. The benefit of Nirvana is not achieved by any other means, even by residing in any other religious place. So, Kashi, it's a very different case from Ram Mandir's case, because if you'll analyze Ram Mandir's case, there was a lacuna in the historical books, that the chronicles of Babar Nama, which we say, had 2 pages missing in Beverage's original translation from Babar Nama from Persian to English, where Babar traveled to Ayodhya, and those 2 pages at that point of time, what he did in Ayodhya when he was near Saryu River, are missing. But here, as you rightly pointed out, Majlis-e Alamgiri has a direct proof that yes, Aurangzeb himself records that he has demolished temple at Kashi, and it is recorded at page 95-96 of Majlis-e Alamgiri. The original Farman is in Asiatic Library of Kolkata, and this history which we are taught, let me tell you, this history which we are taught has gained judicial stamp. This history which we are taught, that Aurangzeb demolished temple at Kashi, has gained judicial stamp, not just today. It has gained judicial stamp in 1936, civil suit number 62 of 1936, in Deen Mohammad's case. It has gained stamp in 1942 in the judgment of the Allahabad High Court upholding the judgment of Deen Mohammed. It has gained stamp in 1997, 4 FCC, page 606, which is a judgment of Adi Visheshwar versus Union of India, where the Kashi Vishnath Act of 1983 was ultimately challenged. Rajiv Dhawan was also arguing in that case. So this history that Aurangzeb has demolished a Hindu temple has gained a stamp, judicial stamp, and it is an admitted position. And let me tell you, in this case, we don't have to prove that a temple was demolished. A temple was demolished by Aurangzeb is already proved. Now the question is, your question is very important and pertinent. Now, why this trouble when everyone knows that he demolished it? The problem is that we have a faith and belief that if we have to achieve nirvana, it is only through Kashi. And if you'll see the history of Kashi, in 1992, Kutubuddin Aibak demolished that temple. Then it was restored by some Raja. Then again it was demolished. Then it was restored by some Raja. Then this thing happened. But why it is so difficult is because the Muslims are in illegal possession of our property. And now they are in the advantageous position. So therefore the damages of time, therefore the damages of loss of opportunity, therefore the damages that we have to wait for a really long time to get a verdict in our favor, because this judicial process is a little lengthy judicial process here in India, and these suits are of CPC. So definitely I'll come to the uh, solution part of it. But just telling you an answer to your question is this, that yes, this time is being taken because what Aurangzeb did in 1669, If we'll see the history, the Hindus did not leave their claim over the property. If you read the judgment of Deen Muhammad, it it notes that how much struggle, how much bloodshed our ancestors, our forefathers have taken, how much things have happened by our forefathers for this property, for this piece of land. And it is not just a piece of land. That's what I was trying to tell you. This is the center of our faith. This is the center of civilization. This is the center of Lord Shiva. This is the center of Nirvana. Because if you'll see all these Purans and Shastra, Lord Shiva himself has made Kashi. And all those 5 कोस of area, 5 कोस का जो area है, that is अविमुक्त क्षेत्र. Whoever will get death there will reach, will be rid of, will get nirvana, will be rid of this cycle of death and birth. Therefore, when these invaders came to this country, their first aim was, and if you'll see the tactics of war also, the first aim, if you have to win any war, is to defeat the king or to kill the king so that the army gets scattered. So the first aim was to destroy our centers of faith so that everyone knows that we are under an Islamic rule. And therefore, with this purpose, this center of faith, the very first center of faith, the very first center of faith was demolished. And now it was demolished. We were there in the possession of the property partially. Slowly, there was interference by many uh, Islamic leaders of this country, and ultimately we were thrown out of the property. Now the barricading is done, and whatever was the status quo in 1936 is not the status quo as of now. So the point is this, that we are in a disadvantageous position because we have lost our possession. This is the biggest problem. And to because I'll actually tell you, after analyzing the entire case, that Muslims have no case at all. What is their theory? If you'll ask them who demolished, how did you get into this property, they have no clue, they have no answer. Who made this mosque? Some of them will say Akbar made it. Some of them will say that this was just a Eidgah. Some of them will say that Aurangzeb made it. So they have no clear cut theory. Lot of questions are asked from us, that what is our claim, and I have you would have seen that I've narrated it so long, so much in detail, that how our theory and how our case flows. But till this very day, what case Muslims have, no one knows. Because the point is this, that you cannot say that Aurangzeb built a mosque, because beneath it are all the structures of Hindu temple. Whether this mosque was dedicated, whether this mosque was a waqf, whether this mosque was because for being a valid mosque, it's very important to be a waqf property. And to have a waqf property, you need a clean piece of land. You can't build it over it's a very settled principle, legal principle. You can't build it over remains of some temple, or after demolishing a temple. So therefore, to these questions, they have no answer at all. And therefore, what is the theory? That we are offering namaz there from time immemorial. What time immemorial is, that also we don't know. For us, time immemorial is lakhs of years ago. For them, time immemorial is 300, 400 years ago. So so only claim is कि हम यहाँ पे नमाज पढ़ रहे हैं. We are offering namaz there. ये बस, that's it. And therefore they are in possession of the property, and ultimately we were in the Islamic rule. We lost our possession, and now this legal battle is going on to remove this encroachment and to get back in possession, which is a little time-taking process, and for which we have solutions. And in times to come, we will see that how this legal battle is taken to a logical conclusion, and it is decided at the earliest.
Vishnu Shankar Ji,
Ajay
one
bhai,
of the
let me
things that
finish.
oh, go ahead, Sudha.
Let me finish I'll transfer it to you after this. So the thing is, it's a very good point you mentioned, Vishnuji. The problem is that it's not just the Muslim position that is a problem, creating problem in this situation. It's also a position taken by many secularists in India who are of Hindu background. And I have seen excuses of all sorts. Like, some people even went on to say that this was not because he disliked Hindus or wanted to show a disdain for a Hindu temple. This was because he was taking revenge for the rise of Shivaji. I have seen that excuse also being put forward. There are excuses of that. He was taking revenge for some Jats doing successful uprising in some other part in Punjab and Haryana area, and so all sorts of excuses are given, and it is really sad because these are Hindus who are giving these excuses. So what has been your response to such situations? Have you been challenged by these kinds of people, and how have you dealt with it?
See, as a ardent student of history as well as law, I think our research and the reading which we have done is a sufficient answer to all these questions. And if I'll read here the Farman, and if you allow me to read here the Farman, I think it will answer the question as to what narratives, false narratives, these seculars are trying to build. This Farman of 18th April 1669 is recorded in History of India. It's there in History of India book, and this History of India book is written by H.M. Eliot and John Dawson, and they have translated it. And this original Farman is there in the Asiatic Library, as I told you. So this Shivaji theory, I'll just narrate it. It's completely wrong because the Farman says something completely different. What does the Farman say? Uh, 18th April 1669, it reached the ear of His Majesty, the Protector of the Faith, that in the province of Tata, Multan, and Banaras, but especially in the latter, foolish Brahmins were in the habit of expounding frivolous books in their schools, and that the students and learners, Muslims as well as Hindus, went there even from long distances, led by a desire to become acquainted with the wicked sciences they taught. The director of the faith consequently issued orders to all the governors of the province to infidels, and they were strictly enjoined to put an entire stop to the teaching and practicing of idolaters' forms of worship. On 15th Rabiul Akhar, that is on 2nd September 1669, it was reported to the religious majesty, leader of the Unitarians, that in obedience to the order, the government officer has destroyed the temple of Vishwanath at Banaras. So I think all these historians and all these left liberals and all these so-called seculars and pseudo-seculars, they are very well read. So I think we should keep reading this Farman to them, and we should ask them that whether this you have a different Farman where he or you have a different life story of Aurangzeb. Because once I was there in a news channel, and one of the fellow panelists was saying that we have read a history that Aurangzeb built temples. So I said, I'm sorry. I'm sorry because I have read a history where Aurangzeb destroyed temples. I have read a history where Aurangzeb put jazzy on us. I have read a history where Aurangzeb burnt our Janeus. So it's the perception of history. If you ever read a particular history, then it's good for you. Then you should come in the court, you should contest, and you should prove it on affidavit that Aurangzeb was the most secular leader and the best leader of this country, best ruler of this country. But we are going to the court, and all these things what I've told you right now is already recorded. Very beautiful passage from 1997 4 SCC, and you must also ask these questions to all these people who raise these questions. Supreme Court has said, it's not just Vishnu Shankar Jain saying that Aurangzeb has demolished a temple. The Supreme Court in 1997 4 SCC, page 606, Justice Ramaswamy's judgment is very clear on the point. He said categorically that Aurangzeb demolished the temple. And what Kashi is to the Hindus is also recorded. And if you have some time, I just want to wish to share with you this very important passage, which I think clarifies all these doubts that what importance Kashi has and what and how Kashi was demolished. Supreme Court has recorded, and actually what happened, there was a special act of the UP government, Kashi Vishnath Act, which said that the original Jyotirling is this, not the Jyotirling where we are, not the place where we are worshipping right now, because this is a Sanketik Jyotirling. The original Jyotirling is in this old temple complex. Section 4, subclause 9 of the UP Act of 1983 defined the temple very clearly and vested the entire land in Adi Visheshwar deity of UP Act, and that act was found by not by BJP or RSS. That act was passed by the Congress government. Shripati Mishra was the chief minister. followed by N.D. Tiwari. So they gave this knowledge to the world that was where you are worshipping is the temple made by Rani Ahilyabai Holkar, and the original temple is this one. And they vested the entire land in Adi Visheshwar, Jyotirling, which is Swayambhu. Now, just see when this act was challenged ultimately till the Supreme Court, in para 1 of the Supreme Court judgment, very beautifully, this entire incident is recorded, and I think this is the answer to all the secularists, all the pseudo seculars of this country who have any doubt, any iota of doubt that who demolished it, what happened, what is Kashi for us, whether it is fight for just a temple, whether it is fight just for some kind of political intentions. So let us see. I'll just read this and please permit me. I know it may be a little bit boring for you, but this is very important.
It's very
So just
fascinating. It's not boring. It's very
No, no,
good.
okay,
please,
okay.
please continue. Please
But
continue.
I'll try to make it very simple so that it is not that legal. It is very simple. What Supreme Court said, para 1, 3 judges judgment of the Supreme Court. Justice Ramaswamy is the author of the judgment. What does he write? These 5 appeals by special leave arises from division bench judgment of the Allahabad High Court made on 20th of October 1986 in CM writ petition number so and so. The primary question is as to the constitutionality of the UP Shri Kashi Vishwanath Temple Act 1983 made for the management of the temple and renowned Lord Vishwanath, otherwise known as Sri Adi Visheshwar by Kashi. By and large, now see, by and large, every Hindu believes that without a visit to Kashi for a bath in river Ganges, and prayer offered to Lord Shiva, life is incomplete and meaningless, and every endeavor is made to visit Kashi at least once in life. The idol of Lord, this is all the para 1 of the judgment, and I'm only reading para 1 of the judgment. The idol of Lord Shiva at Varanasi on the bank of holy river Ganges is one of the 5 Jyotirlings in India, believed to be the self-incarnated Swayambhu. Other 4 are Rameshwaram in Tamil Nadu, Sri Shailam in banks of river Krishna in Andhra Pradesh, Dwarka state, Omkareshwar in Madhya Pradesh on the bank of river Narmada are believed to be the Jyotirlings according to Hindu mythology. Hindu believe that Lord Brahma is the creator, Lord Vishnu is the protector, Lord Shiva is the destroyer of evils and wicked. Lord Shiva is the common man's god and is believed that he is the easily accessible by fervent prayers and fulfills the prayers and uh, he is easily accessible by fervent prayers and fulfills the prayers of devotees. Though there are several stories on self-incarnation of Linga idol at Varanasi, the fact remains that it is very ancient. For the last 1000 years, Lord Vishwanath Visheshwar has been preeminent Shiva Linga idol at Kashi, the supreme principal deity. According to mythology literature, Lord Avimukteshwara, never forsaken, appears to be the supreme deity in Kashi since the Gupta ages, that is 4th century AD till 12th century AD. Pandit Lakshmidhara of 12th century in his Puranic Mahatmya and Tirth Vivechana Khand and Dandini, the great Sanskrit scholar 6th century, in his Daksha Karamcharita refers to this aspect of the matter. Mitra Mishra in his book Tirth Prakash has also stated that Lord Visheshwar and Lord Avimukteshwara appear to be separately located as is spoken in the Linga Purana quoted by Lakshmi Dhara. The ancient name of Kashi appears to be Avimukta. The linga of Lord Visheshwar appears to have been located to the north of the sacred well, Gyanvapi, while encircling the temple of Avimukteshwara. The shrines of Dandapani, Tarakha, and Mahakala, all of which are also erected near the Gyanvapi and Lord Visheshwara temple. According to Puranic Mahatmya and Kashi Khand of Skand Puran, the Jyotirling was established by Lord Shiva himself, and when he went to exile to Mount Mandara during the reign of legendary King Deodasa, since Lord Shiva himself disguised the linga, according to Mahatma, Lord Shiva never really left this sacrosanct and sacred temple. Hence, it becomes Avimukta, never forsaken. This was also stated in Vachaspati Mishra in his famous Puranic work Tirtha Chintamani in 1460, wherein he had stated that Visheshwara and Avimukteshwara were merely 2 names for the same Jyotirling. Narayan Bhatt has similarly mentioned it to be so in the 16th century in his work Tirthas Letu. According to this literature, 13th to 14th century AD and especially in 1325 AD, the temple called Padmeshwara was existing as per Kashi Ka Itihas, page 190, written by Moti Chandra. As stated earlier, in due course, Jyotirlinga in the name of Lord Visheshwara gained popularity, and Avimukteshwara Linga was installed in the corner of the temple. Every Hindu believes that Lord Shiva is worshipped by common man, and perhaps for that belief, Linga of Lord Visheshwara became famous. In the now see in the year 1109, so this was the history of Kashi uh, mentioned by the Supreme Court in this judgment. And see further in 1993, in sorry 1193, I'm so sorry, in the year 1193 AD, when one of the lieutenants of Muhammad Gauri named Kutubuddin Aibak completely destroyed Lord Shiva's temple, the priest Mahant concealed the idol of Lord Vishwanath from being defiled and destroyed. The temple construction was undertaken in a big way in 1585 by Raja Todarmal, the finance minister of Akbar the Great, the Mughal emperor who was the governor of Jaunpur. The temple was constructed accordingly on a large scale, consisting of central Santorum Garbhagriha surrounded by 8 mandaps on pavilions. And this thing is also corroborated by the map of James Precept. Viewers mentioned that this is a 8 mandap temple. The temple was constructed accordingly on a large scale, consisting of garbhagriha and surrounded by 8 mandaps or pavilions. Aurangzeb again destroyed the temple of Lord Shiva in 1669 AD, when again the priest Mahant removed the idol of Lord Shiva so as to prevent it from being defiled and destroyed. Thereafter, it was again restored in the year 1777 AD by Rani Ahilyabai Holkar of MP, who had built the present temple and had installed the present deity. Maharaja Ranjit Singh in 1859 had got it renovated, covering the dome with gold plates weighing 22 tons of gold. So, my dear sir, this is not a history or itihas of Kashi said by Vishnu Shankar Jain or Hari Shankar Jain. This
So,
is recorded in the judgment of the Supreme Court.
so
So
Vishnu Shankar,
I do not care what left liberals say. I am bothered about the because they also believe in the judgment of the Supreme Court. For them, the lecture given by the Supreme Court in Ram Mandir case on secularism is very sacrosanct. So if they believe in the judgment of the Supreme Court, they should also believe in this para and this area of law
so Vishnu Shankarji,
where the Supreme
what do you say to
Court had
people?
settled this historical
Uh,
position.
so Vishnu Shankarji, what do you say to people who bring up the 1991 Places of Worship Act and say that this is because this 1991 Worship Act, no other mandirs can be claimed by Hindus?
See, Places of Worship Act is the most, I think, what can I say? Places of Worship Act is the most misread provision of law in this country. And as I told you that they have no defense apart from saying that we just do offer namaz there, and who built it, when was it built, no questions, no answers are there. In the same way, when this litigation starts, they know that if the litigation starts, what will be the consequence? What will be the consequence of this civil suit and how strong is our case? So you should try to understand what is the strategy, what they are trying to portray. The strategy is that they will say, what is the end of Places of Worship Act? If you will see section 4, the end of Places of Worship Act is that you cannot go to the court. The doors of courtroom are closed for you. That's the end of section 4 subclause 2. That there will be no litigation so far as any restoration is concerned. That is their interpretation. I'm getting governed by their interpretation as of now. That all the doors of courtroom are closed for you. You cannot go to the court. You cannot sue. You cannot restore the position of 15th August 1947. This is their interpretation. So the case which we have filed in the civil court of Varanasi does not stand, and it should be nipped in the bud. And precisely this was the argument of Mr. Huzaifa Ahmadi in the Supreme Court, that all these kind of suits should be nipped in the bud, and because there will be many more lawsuits like this in the country. So the point is this: the first answer to this is this, or this theory is this, that first of all, Places of Worship Act is the most unconstitutional law of this country. Judicial remedy and judicial review is the fundamental right of the citizen. and it's the basic structure of the constitution. And this proposition of law has been categorically narrated in L. Chandra Kumar's case, 5 judges bench of the Supreme Court. That is point number one. Point number two, if I go by the interpretation given by the Muslims that I cannot go to the court, all right, all right, the Hindus will not go to the court, then what will happen? Then, if we'll go to the parliamentarians and we'll ask them to bring a law, and one night, if the government of if the government of India declares Kashi Vishwanath as the entire property belonging to the Hindus, then will it be fine with them? Because that will also be a law, just like the Places of Worship Act. In Ram Mandir's time also, if you know, that the land was acquired, 2.77 acres of land was acquired by Kalyan Singh, and it was ultimately acquired, and that acquisition was recognized by the Supreme Court in Ismail Faruqi's case. So if the government of, because you have closed our doors to the court, Mr. Ovesi and all these lobby, if their interpretation is accepted, then you can't file any case. So all right, then we'll approach the people, then we'll approach the government in power and we'll ask them to decide it one-sidedly without hearing anyone, because the act of parliament or the act of legislature has no concept of hearing anyone. They'll just decide, our representatives will just decide that this entire property, Kashi, Mathura, and whatever temples are there which have been destroyed in the past, belongs to the Hindus, and they will give it to the Hindus. Then at that point of time, will they agree? So the point is this, that all these are kiddish arguments. If there is a dispute, if one side is saying that this is a mosque, if I am saying this is a temple, it needs to be decided by the courts of law. You can't just say that no, you cannot decide, you cannot enter into this dispute. You keep discussing about diesel petrol. This debate which you will be seeing on TV channels, the concept that you keep debating about diesel petrol and development, it is the same theory which they say in the court. That no, please don't go ahead with this lawsuit. There are many more bigger issues for this country to address. So that is number one. Second of all, in recently before the Supreme Court, when this discussion was going on, Honorable Mr. Justice Chandrachud said, and this is precisely our argument, the religious character of the property has to be determined. If you enter into a temple property, you start offering namaz there. Just by your offering namaz, the nature of the character of the temple property will convert and it will become into a mosque. If you enter into my temple property, if you put your dome above my shikhar, if you use my pillars and sit on the top of my temple and offer namaz, the religious character of that property will convert into a mosque. So therefore, the religious character, what is the religious character? On 15th August 1947 has to be determined, and that determination will be done through evidence in the law courts. And therefore we have taken this legal path. It's not a movement that that me or my father or my petitioners or my clients are there on the roads and we are agitating, we are protesting. No, we are using our constitutional remedies. We are going before the court. We are saying that, look boss, we whatever we believe we are saying, you please test it on the touchstone of evidence and let us see whether what we have alleged is correct or not. And therefore the religious character of the property has to be determined. Yes.
Thank you. That was so well put. That was so well put, Vishnu Shankarji. I have the next question, and I know that you have to leave in the next 15 minutes because you have another interview scheduled. So we won't be taking too much of your time, but this is just so fascinating that we can keep talking to you and listening to you for the next 3 hours. So I'll go to the next question. You know, as an architect, I went to school, I went to college as an architect, and I'm a practicing architect. You know, I studied the history of some of the architectural monuments around India. And I was pained to see the blatant subjugation that big parts of India faced from the 10th century onwards. Every monument, fort, and temple that I studied, every one of it was presented as a syncretic Indo-Islamic architecture or mixed architecture. You know, the Ganga Jamuna Tehzeeb architecture was actually a monument of desecration to an earlier Hindu edifice. Not just temples, entire towns, entire forts, especially forts in the northern parts of India. So there are thousands of them spread across the subcontinent. Do you see a movement to recover some of the most important ones out of them within what is India today? because this can actually extend further out, because what is present day Bangladesh, what is present day Pakistan, what is present day Afghanistan has even more of the same. So what do you see coming in the future, as you see a revival of Hindu identity, as a revival of Hindu civilization, the dharmic civilization, the Sanatan civilization? Do you see us as a community moving forward to reclaim our colonized past and banish the ghosts of Aurangzebs?
So actually, just to add to that, are there legal remedies that people are thinking about to reclaim, say, Qutub Minar and some of the other temples, right?
See, my cases are pending as of now. The path till which I have moved on is Tile Wali Masjid in Lucknow. We have challenged it. That is pending consideration. We have challenged Qutub Minar, Quwwatul Islam Masjid, entire Qutub Minar. We have challenged Bhojshala in Dhar. We have challenged Taj Mahal. We have challenged our Kashi Gyanvapi Masjid. We have challenged Mathura Shahi Idgah Masjid. So these are the 6 masjids which we have challenged as of now. And there are many more to come, no doubt about it. As long as me and my father are alive, this is our mission of the life, that we have to get our Sanatan Sanskriti restored. We have to reclaim our temples which were lost in the past and which were converted. And why I'm telling you is this: it is not something. It does not just have an emotional background to it. It has a legal background to it. And if you analyze the judgment passed by the Supreme Court in para 116 and 117 of the judgment of Ram Mandir case, the Supreme Court has said categorically one very important concept of Hindu law. The concept is that, see, some uh, some of the people of this country or of this world, they do puja of Nirankari Brahm. They don't worship the idols. Some of us are idol worshippers. Most of us, most of us Sanatanis are idol worshippers. So why we do worship? Why we do idol worship? Because it's easy to concentrate. It's easy to concentrate on the idol, and it's easy to get a spiritual development through idol worship. So, and the concept of idol is that if we believe that in this universe there is a power which is running this universe, we bring it into a form of an idol and start worshipping it. The essence that this universe is run by an energy, by a power, by a divine force, that idol constitutes that spiritual concept, that spiritual theme. So, if I today take a vow, and this is how the judgment of the Supreme Court comes in para 116, 117. If I take a vow, I take a sankalp, or if you all take a sankalp to construct a temple, and it so happens that you construct a temple, you install an idol there, do pran pratishtha, and after installing idol, doing pran pratishtha, it so happens that earthquake or invader or anything happens, and that temple or that idol is demolished. The Supreme Court says that my sankalp to establish a temple will remain forever. जो संकल्प है मेरा मंदिर बनाने का, वो अमर है, वो अमिट है, till the end of the time that sankalp will be there. Meaning thereby that sankalp has a legal obligation, that sankalp has a legal entity. Meaning thereby you can demolish my idol, but you cannot take away my right of restoration, because that sankalp gives me the right of restoration. Because of that sankalp to establish a temple, the right of restoration has to be given. You cannot take it away. And the right of the deity itself under Article 363 as well as in Shabrimala judgment is well known to everyone. So the point is this, that all these architectures which we all know that are Mughal and Hindu architectures and Ganga Jamni Tehzeeb, this is all a violation of our sankalp. If my forefathers, if my ancestors were prior in time, and this is the test, this is the test. Who is prior in time? I'm not saying, I'm not talking anything unfair. If there is any mosque which has been demolished and converted into a temple and they were prior in time, definitely they have a right to file a case in the court. On behalf of the Hindus, I can say that we will not take a plea of the Places of Worship Act. We will test it on the touchstone of evidence. But if a temple has been demolished and converted into a mosque, my sankalp to make an idol there, my sankalp to make a temple there will remain, and that will give me the right of restoration, and the list will keep continuing. The list will keep continuing till the time all the temples are restored. We can do as much we will do, a person can do in his lifetime, but definitely a message will go to the entire world that this community can rise even after 1000 years and regain its glorious past. Because our message is this very simple message is that whatever you have done by sword has to be rectified by pen, and a message has to go that the power of pen is mightier than the sword. So this is the theme of this legal battle, and this is the concept. Yes.
I could not have put it any better. In fact, I have never heard anybody else put it even better. So this is wonderful, Vishnu Shankarji. And what you just described fills my heart with so much joy, because as a student, one of the reasons why I am doing what I'm doing today, I'm into Hindutva, is because as a student of architecture, it pained my heart year after year to travel to different historical places and forts and just see it. It was in front of my eyes, and any amount of Ganga Jamna could not erase it. And I remember standing at places like that and telling myself that if I ever had an opportunity to give 1% of this back, I will do it. And today I find it's my honor to be speaking to you, Vishnu Shankarji, on behalf of Hindu Pact and Vishwa Hindu Parishad of America. We thank you for giving us this time, and we thank you even more for what you are doing, and we will support you in whatever way we can. And Ajay bhai, I give it to you. You have the
No,
last
just
word.
wanted to know how
I
is
I
it?
just have I just have one more thing to say.
Please.
Sorry, Ajay bhai, that two things are very important actually for this fight, and I'm telling you with lot of sense of responsibility and lot of like from the bottom of my heart. Why any Hindu legal struggle has not succeeded is for two reasons, and I'm being very blatant about it. That first of all, the people who are doing this struggle have to understand that this is a revolution, and the path of revolution is different from the path of luxury. The moment any, I'm not naming anyone, I'm just matlab, this is the concept which I believed as a Jain. What is the basic concept of Jain? To be a jinendri, to have control over all his indris. This is the practice which Jains do, and this is the practice all the Hindus do. We all do. So once we are into this field of a revolution, the first thing should be, and this is what I was taught by my father. The first thing we should do is कि अपनी सारी इच्छाओं को तिलांजलि दे दीजिए. आपके अंदर जितनी इच्छाएं और अभिलाषाएं हैं उसको एक कपड़े में बांध के फेंक दीजिए गंगा जी में. Throw it in the Ganges. Have no ikshas. Then only you can do this. If someone will have a इच्छा कि भाई हम तो ये कर रहे हैं हमें राज्यसभा मिल जाए, हम तो ये कर रहे हैं हमें फंडिंग मिल जाए. मैं ये इसलिए कह रहा हूँ क्योंकि आप एनआरआई वर्ल्ड से हैं, ये इसलिए बात कह रहा हूँ कि हम तो ये कर रहे हैं हमें फंडिंग मिल जाए, थोड़ा इससे ये हो जाए, थोड़ा उससे वो हो जाए. रेवोल्यूशन कभी भी फंडिंग से नहीं चलता है. आज विष्णु शंकर जैन कर रहा है, आगे चल के और लोग करेंगे, पर आप एज एनआरआईज, मैं इसलिए आपसे बात कह रहा हूं कि ये जो हमारा मैसेज है, ये जो मेरा मैसेज है, ये आप स्प्रेड करिए और लोगों तक. और सिर्फ एनआरआई वर्ल्ड से जब भी लोग बात करते हैं, एक ही चीज लोगों के दिमाग में होती है, यार फंडिंग मिल जाएगी, दे विल अरे डू हेल्प विद फंडिंग. कोई रेवोल्यूशन को फंडिंग की जरूरत नहीं होती है. आज हमने ये लॉ केसेस किए, हमारे अंदर आग थी तो हमने किए, जितने हम हमारे अंदर सामर्थ्य था हमने किया. नहीं हो पाएगा नहीं करेंगे. फंडिंग से क्या होता है, कभी भी इंडिपेंडेंट काम नहीं हो पाता. If you will fund, just for example, I know that you are not saying all this, but I'm just telling that this is the concept which, फंडिंग से क्या होगा, आपने दिया कुछ, फिर हम सोचेंगे अच्छा इन्होंने दिया, थोड़ा और मिल जाए, थोड़ा और मिल जाए. फिर आप पूछोगे क्या हुआ उस केस में, इतना अच्छा नहीं चल रहा है, his performance is not up to the mark, not good. So उससे क्या होता है, एक आदमी का जो इंडिपेंडेंट कैरेक्टर होता है वो खत्म हो जाता है, और इससे क्या होता है, आदमी रेवोल्यूशन के पार्ट से भटक जाता है. रेवोल्यूशन का पाथ हमेशा एक स्ट्रगल का पाथ होता है. एक स्ट्रगल का पाथ होता है। चंद्रशेखर आजाद ने, भगत सिंह ने जो स्ट्रगल और रेवोल्यूशन किया, तभी तो आज ये चीजें हम देख पा रहे हैं। अगर उस समय वो फंडिंग लेने लग जाते और कंफर्ट से रहने लग जाते तो कभी भी रेवोल्यूशन नहीं हो पाता। इसलिए दो चीजें बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है। सबसे पहले अपने अंदर की इच्छाओं को तिलांजलि दे देना, खत्म कर देना, फिनिश कर देना, और दूसरा जो आपका एम है उस पर कॉन्सेंट्रेट करना। इसलिए मैं आपसे यही कहूंगा कि आपने जब सपोर्ट की बात कही तो मेरे आपसे एक ही रिक्वेस्ट है, हमें कोई सपोर्ट नहीं चाहिए, जितना हम कर पाएंगे करेंगे, पर ये मैसेज लोगों तक जाए, इतने सारे विष्णु शंकर जैन और हरिशंकर जैन और ऐसे हजारों लोग पैदा हों जो इतने केसेस फाइल करें कि हमारी सनातन संस्कृति का एक एक मंदिर हम रेस्टोर कर सके। ये मिशन होना चाहिए, क्योंकि ये मिशन कोई फंडिंग से खत्म कभी कंप्लीट नहीं हो सकता। जहां जहां मंदिर तोड़ा गया है, मैं एक बात बहुत स्ट्रेट कह रहा हूं, जहां जहां मंदिर तोड़ा गया है आज की संवैधानिक इंडिया में उसको रेस्टोर होना है। जितना मैं कर पा रहा हूं मैं कर रहा हूं, जितने और आपके माध्यम से जितना स्प्रेड होगा बाकी लोग करें, पर ये करें जरूर। हर एक वकील ये निर्धारण ये निश्चय करे कि ठीक है मैं कमर्शियल प्रैक्टिस कर रहा हूं, कोई दिक्कत नहीं, कोई जरूरी नहीं हर आदमी मेरा ही पाथ चूज करे। एक केस कम से कम मैं अपने कॉज को डिवोट करूंगा, अपनी सनातन संस्कृति को रेस्टोर करूंगा। और मंदिर रेस्टोर होना बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, क्योंकि मंदिर ही हम लोगों के बीच का कनेक्ट है, मंदिर ही हम लोग के बीच का अस्तित्व है, मंदिर ही आ, हम लोग का प्राइड है। आप इसलिए मंदिर को रेस्टोर करने की बात कभी भी डीजल पेट्रोल से मिक्स मत करिए।
Vishnu Shankar ji, one question I have, that was very well put. So thank you. No, as a Jain, I can also, I'm also a Jain, so I can relate to what you were saying about the Thyag and all. So my final question, because I know you're short on time, is: do you worry about your personal safety? Have there been threats on you, on your life, and is that something that that is of concern to you?
See, I have no worries. Tell me one thing, whether a fidine who is going on a mission, a fidine who's on a mission, whether they worry about their safety or whether they are worried about their mission. So we are Hindu legal fidines. Why I'm using this word fidine is because I have thrown all my desires and ikshas in Ganges. I don't want to become any high court judge. I don't want to become any Supreme Court judge. I don't want to become any advocate general, attorney general. I don't want to earn huge money or something. I just want to do this service which I'm doing. And I'm on this path of legal revolution. And therefore, I don't worry about my safety or security. That threats keep coming. Whenever they will come, they want to kill, they will kill. I have no problem. That is secondary issue for me. But as long as I'm alive or my father is alive, we will keep this revolution going on, because this is the only way we can restore our civilization and restore our heritage. And therefore, have you ever seen any any freedom fighter or anyone having security guards around you? See, this is the point which I told you just now, कि जो हिंदुत्व का काम करता है सबसे पहले क्या होता है, सिक्योरिटी मिल जाए, पैसा हो जाए, ये बीजेपी में टिकट मिल जाए, राज्यसभा मिल जाए, ये मिल जाए, वो मिल जाए। काम नहीं हो पाता है। एक काम किया, प्रोफाइल बनी, काम सबसाइड हो गया और आदमी उस लाइन में लग गया। ये चीज नहीं करनी, काम करते रहना। अगर ईश्वर ने मैं बहुत अच्छा सा एक आपको बात बोलता हूँ, फिर हम एंड करेंगे। काल उसका क्या बिगाड़े, भक्त जो महाकाल का। और एक मुझे बहुत अच्छी कविता याद आती है, मैं उसको आपसे शेयर करता हूँ, और जो मैं बिलीव करता हूँ दिल से। निकले हैं वीर जियाले, यूं अपना सीना ताने, हंस हंस के जान लुटाने, आजाद सवेरा लाने। मर के कैसे जीते हैं इस दुनिया को बतलाने, तेरे लाल चले हैं माए अब तेरी लाज बचाने। महकेंगे तेरी फिजा में हम बन के हवा का झोंका, किस्मत वालों को मिलता ऐसे मरने का मौका। दिन आज का बड़ा सुहाना, मौसम भी बड़ा सुनहरा, हम सिर पे बांध के आए बलिदानों का ये सहरा। बेताब हमारे दिल में एक मस्ती सी छाई है, ए देश अलविदा तुझको कहने की घड़ी आई। सो ये जो कंसेप्ट है, ये जो थीम है, हम इसको लेके चल रहे हैं। हमारा कोई इंटेंशन नहीं है कि हमें सिक्योरिटी मिले, और हमें पैसा मिले और ये सब कुछ नहीं। हमें सिर्फ और सिर्फ अपने एक ही हमारा ध्येय है, उस ध्येय की तरफ हम बढ़ते रहेंगे। और ईश्वर, आप लोग से इतनी रिक्वेस्ट है कि आप इस मैसेज को स्प्रेड करें, इस आग को स्प्रेड करें, और लोग समाज के उठे। और जो इन लोगों ने हमारी कौम, हमारी सभ्यता के साथ किया है, हमारे मंदिरों को तोड़ा है, हमारी औरतों बच्चों को ले गए हैं, रेप किए हैं, उस चीज को हम आज 1200 साल बाद रेस्टोर करके एक सनातन संस्कृति के अंदर एक गौरव का चीज महसूस पैदा करें। ये बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट।
Very, very well said, Vishnuji. And there is a reason why Somnath can never be destroyed. They can try 10 times, 17 times, 20 times. In 1965 war, they tried to destroy it from the ocean. They tried to bomb it using warships, but it will never be destroyed. And this is the spirit that we all want to share with everybody. Thank you once again, Vishnu Shankar ji. Thank you, Ajay bhai. And
you.
we hope that we can spread this message around. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Namaste.
बहुत ही धन्यवाद. Thank you very much. Namaste. This is Hindu Lounge Conversations over Coffee. Thank you,
Thank you,
Utsav,
everybody.
once again. Thank you. Namaste.